Hey there and welcome back to Sims Sunday. My name is Pete and in this series we try to complete The Sims 3. And after a tragic episode last time, today things get slowly back to normal. Paul is still grieving over the loss of his mother, but soon after gets back to work on his masterpiece novel. His wife Chastity begins her day with the logic skill book, while his brother Patrick starts out in the garden. Daughter Pauline is still in jail, but is just about to be released. And after spending all night in jail, she is all but happy, so let's quickly fix that. At home, we'll buy a birthday cake, not for Pauline, but for her mother Chastity. Today is Chastity's birthday, and I think after the events of last episode, the family is more than deserving of a small celebration. Alright, Chastity is now an elder, and that means her life is also slowly approaching its end, but I suppose that is still a few episodes away. For the moment, Chastity and her daughter can grab some birthday cake, while Paul continues to write and Patrick continues to harvest. With her hunger needs satisfied, it is now time to take care of Pauline's energy bar, and to do so we will send her off to bed. Chastity meanwhile once again grabs the logic skill book, and just a few seconds later finally reaches level 10 in the logic skill. Outside, Patrick grabs the mail, which contains the precious last rainbow gem we collected last episode. And while we sell a bunch of stuff, Patrick runs over to his usual fishing spot. For the commercial fisherman skill challenge, he still needs to catch 43 fish. After a shower, Chastity now finds herself in front of the bookstore. And that has a reason, because Chastity will now tackle another part-time career. Now an elder, I think we can retire her from the symphonic career and have her help out a few hours per day as a bookstore clerk. And we can celebrate that new job with a small guitar concert right in front of the theater. At home, Paul has gotten stressed from writing, so we will quickly switch him over to the sim life goggles. And once his fun bar is back where it needs to be, we will have him throw a party. As you can see, for the next promotion, his co-worker relationships need to be improved, and so we will invite exactly those co-workers. And while we wait for them to arrive, Paul can continue to write. Alright, Kimberly has made it over as the only guest, but she's also exactly the person I wanted him to talk to. We can now spam a few friendly dialogue options and that relationship bar should rise quickly. Alright, Kimberly and Paul are still old friends, but the relationship bar is more or less maxed out and the legendary host lifetime reward will only add to that. So we can now say goodbye to Kimberly and say hello to our masterpiece novel. So Paul has now finished 2 masterpiece novels, and I want him to write 3 more and then we can stop with the writing skill. Pauline meanwhile is well rested and squeaky clean, and she will now play with the sim life goggles so she can go to work with a full fun bar. Paul meanwhile grabs something to eat, and afterwards he can start with masterpiece novel number 3. For Pauline, it is now time to leave, but not before we fulfill her another wish. She wants to donate 250 simoleons to Undermine Charity, and that is an easy wish to fulfill. And with that now fulfilled, we can teleport her off to work, where she should get herself another promotion. Then just a quick look at the crowd that Chastity has assembled. That is by far the largest crowd I've ever seen for someone playing guitar, and I'm pretty sure this will pay off big time. At home, Paul has been writing for a good 2 hours now, but tomorrow is a day of work, so let's send him off to bed now. Off to bed is also where Patrick will go. He also needs to work tomorrow, but that's not that important. Much more interesting is how close he's gotten to the commercial fisherman skill challenge, and we can see here only 28 fish remain. Around midnight then, the crowd around Chastity has slowly disappeared, but she was able to make almost 6,000 simoleons from tips, a more than successful day for her, and she has now definitely earned the rest. Now, before we skip ahead to the end of the workday for Pauline, let's quickly do some upgrading. We can see here that our beach property still needs a picnic table, so let's get on with that. In fact, let's add 2 for good measure. To increase the lot value, we will duplicate the bar here, and then also add a few bar stools. And if we now go back to live mode, we can see the property has been upgraded to level 2. Level 2 is not enough for us though, so let's begin by upgrading the lawn chairs. We can then also put a few more down closer to the water. And then we can start to work on a small restroom. Just a 4x4 building with light masonry, white tiles on the floor, and a flat roof. Of course, we need to add a door, and then the key components, the toilets themselves. I started with 3 but reduced that back to 2, just so we have a bit more space for the sink here. Let's put a nice mirror on top, a water fountain in the corner to drive the lot value up further, some lights on the ceiling, a window for a bit more natural lighting, and what remains in lot value to get this thing up to level 3 we can spend on palm trees. And here we are, property successfully upgraded to level 3. And now, just before Pauline's shift ends, we get a nice opportunity for her, one that will increase both her career performance and the relationship with her boss. So we accept, and a few moments later Pauline leaves the criminal warehouse, and as expected she gets herself promoted. Now it's time to live out the criminal instincts once more, and we'll start on the parking lot of the science facility, where Pauline can swipe a car. At home, meanwhile, both Paul and Patrick are already well rested again, so Paul can once again start writing, while Patrick has some breakfast. Pauline then visits another home, one with a very intriguing car parked in front of it, and that car is now ours. After breakfast, Patrick has started fishing again, while Pauline wraps up her crime spree at the local art gallery. We can now place one of our new acquisitions on our parking lot, while everything we don't need can be sold for some cash. Inside, Paul is once again getting a bit stressed, and that is not how we want to send him off to work, so he can once again play with the sim life goggles. Pauline, meanwhile, will go straight to work on her opportunity, and all she needs to do for that is read a book. A bit later, Chastity is well rested, and both her and Paul are ready to leave. After her success yesterday, Chastity will once again teleport herself off to play for tips, while Paul starts his shift at the office building. With his social bar somewhat depleted, but once again a step closer to the commercial fisherman skill challenge, Patrick can now also start his shift, and this might be the last time we see him enter the science facility. I think I will have him retire soon to focus on other things. At home, Pauline finishes the opportunity book. Now all she needs to do now is head off to work again and reap the rewards. Before she does, however, we can quickly grab the mail and then send her off to the garden to help out Patrick. We also received a logic skill certificate for Chastity, and that can go right here in the bedroom. and now it's already time to jump ahead to the end of the workday for Patrick. Of course, he does not get a promotion or a raise, but after 4.5 hours of meeting his fellow scientists, his social bar is now maxed out. With Patrick ready to continue in the garden, Pauline can now head off to bed, and Patrick can continue right where she left off. For Paul, another workday comes to an end, and a successful one at that. After a long 7-hour shift, Paul also receives a promotion. Now at level 7 of the business career, he is only one promotion away from completing the CEO of a mega corporation lifetime wish. But to get there, he will need to hold a few more meetings, so let's start right away. Despite a rather large crowd, Chastity will now have to stop playing for tips. Her first day as a bookstore clerk starts soon, and of course we don't want her to be late for her first shift. At home, Patrick is now done in the garden. That means we can now sell the money tree harvests and have him pay the bills. Afterwards, he can take a shower. We can quickly jump back to Paul, who has finished his first meeting, but who will immediately go back inside for another round. With his garden and his hygiene taken care of, Patrick will now once again go fishing. After all, he's getting pretty close to that last remaining skill challenge. Paul finishes another meeting, but once again that seems to be not enough, so how about round number 3? Then at the bookstore, Chastity finishes her first shift. No promotion, but in 3 hours of working I also didn't expect one. For the rest of the evening we can try to make a bit more money playing for tips. Back at home, Pauline has gotten up and has also taken a shower, and to satisfy her hunger need we will quickly have her snack 2 tomatoes. And then it's time for her to leave for work. With a shift and 3 meetings under his belt, Paul definitely had a stressful day, so he will now return home while Pauline enters the warehouse. I probably should have made Pauline get up a bit earlier. Now she has to start working with a not quite filled fun bar. At home, Paul is already working ahead towards that next promotion, working from home to make sure everything goes smoothly tomorrow. And with everyone busy, we can now collect our weekly investment funds, at this point roughly 130,000 simoleons. Collecting all that took about an hour, and that 1 hour was enough to make Paul become a bit more tired, and so with another shift ahead of him tomorrow, he can now go to bed. Just like yesterday, Patrick will do so at the same time. He got himself up to 338 fish, so hopefully we can catch the remaining 12 next time. Chastity is once again being surrounded by a rather large crowd, but I want to use her to spend all the money we just received from our investments. Because today we are going to buy the Central Park. Alright, Chastity arrives at City Hall. Just before she leaves again, Pauline cashes in her opportunity, and then we transfer over 143,000 simoleons, but we are now the owners of the Sunset Valley Central Park. And so Chastity can now head home and off to bed, and with everyone asleep except for Pauline, we will make the cut. Next time we will hopefully complete another lifetime wish with Paul, and we will maybe also start on something special that I have in mind for Patrick. For today's episode, however, I can say thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!